Hello and welcome to my channel, Married2Autism. Today I'm going to be talking about the various stages of being in this relationship. So similar to the various stages of grief, when you're in a relationship with somebody who isn't reciprocating and has challenges with living and daily activities and things like that, it does take a toll on your mental well-being. As with the stages of grief, experts say that the stages ebb and flow. Like, you'll have a list of all of the stages, but you'll go through them. Like, you might feel anger and depression and then back to anger and back to... So it's not sort of linear, it's all over the place, similar to this type of relationship. So I'll run through the types of stages kind of from start to finish, but it will obviously vary throughout. So firstly is confusion. Now, I thought confusion stemmed from the fact that I didn't know my husband was on the spectrum. However, speaking with people who are in relationships with somebody on the spectrum and they know that person's on the spectrum, they're still facing confusion. Confusion about, why is this thing happening? Why is that thing not happening? I tried to raise this topic and it didn't go well. How else can I say it? Why did it blow up? Why can't I get X person to stop doing this? Why can't I get X person to start doing that? Lots of confusing, challenging moments. And those moments seem to apply whether you know your partner's on the spectrum or not. Maybe confusion lasts longer if you don't know. I don't know how to measure that. So then we move on to frustration. It's where you're starting to feel really frustrated with them, yourself, the situation. The confusion is just turning into something a little more tense. You're starting to feel frustrated with, no matter which way you've said it, it isn't working. You try to raise a subject, you say this, they react that way, and you think, okay, let me try it a different way. So then you say that and they react and you're like, that didn't work either. And then you're like, well, let me try doing this subtle hint or this text or this email or whatever it is that you're trying to do, and they're still coming back with combativeness. And by now you're just starting to feel frustrated with the whole situation and why can't you get it to work, and now it's really driving you nuts. So you kind of moved on from just mild confusion to this is getting really annoying. And then in there somewhere you start to feel isolated because you're trying to talk to people about what it's like and people aren't getting it. So you might say to your friend, oh, we had this strange situation the other day where I asked him to stack the dishwasher and it turned into an argument. And you're trying to work out with your friend then, what do you say, what do you do, how do you work about that? And your friend is saying things like, not going from any examples, of course, totally. Oh, have you tried talking with him? Or maybe they're suggesting things you've already tried, or telling you that all relationships are complicated and all relationships take work, and you know, if you just talk it through and get them to reciprocate and understand your point of view, and you know, people aren't getting it, and then you start to feel alone in your struggles. Then there is resentment/anger, where by now you're just getting so frustrated with the fact that XYZ isn't happening, or XYZ is happening depending on where you're at, and you just feel really annoyed, angry. You think of things and it just boils your blood. You know, maybe you think about that annoying comment that he made, or didn't stand up for you with his family, or you were sick and he didn't. Say he, mainly because I'm married to a bloke, but it could be related to women as well. So So you're starting to feel really, all the memories are negative and yucky and crappy, and you feel really annoyed with your lot. How is this my life? Why am I here? This person is annoying the crap out of me, and I'm lonely and frustrated and confused, and I feel really crap. And during those moments we can start to feel really volatile towards our partners. Snappy, angry, narky comments. When we talk to family and friends about them, we're not feeling endeared. We're feeling like fracka-rocka-rocka-rockin', as is that Motley used to say. And this stage can go on for a while. It can be the main stage we sit in. I think it pretty much was for me. That being said, okay, let's work this out. Math is not my strong suit, so bear with me. So we've been together 28 years. For 15 of those years there was the housework saga. 5, 6, 7, 8, 13. So for 13 years, let me take it back a bit further. The year of dating, not so bad. The year of living with him, 3 years of confusion, let's just call it that. Then the few more years of frustration, and then the housework saga and all the other schmozzles that were happening all up in there in between. So I'd say I spent a good maybe 15 to 17 years, maybe 18, anyway, you get the gist, of feeling really, really angry, resentful, cross, peed off, annoyed. Drop a comment below on all of the words that this could be. I was feeling it for a really long time. Even to the point where he might say something nice, and it would trigger that time that I wanted him to say something nice and he hadn't, and now I'm annoyed because I thought about that annoying thing that happened. And a lot of stuff popped up for me like that. Like when he said that he thought I'd be jealous of that female friend of ours because she's prettier than me. That really took quite a long time to stop feeling the angst of that comment. I don't know if hurt was so much. I didn't feel hurt because I hadn't necessarily felt that way. I hadn't believed that was the case. Just really, really cross that he had the audacity to say something so outrageous and rude. So, really took a long time to forgive that. Anytime he said something like, "You look nice," in my mind I'm like, but not as nice as her, just silly, right? But at the same time, you get it and you understand. So I was in that frustration place for a long time. But the point I'm getting at is, yes, it's been most of my relationship, but it might not necessarily be so many years down the track. Maybe I'm moving past that era. Maybe. Okay. And somewhere in there is depression. Now, this could come at any stage, and for me, and perhaps yourself, this has ebbed and flowed. In the confusion stage, I felt down. In the frustrations phase, I felt down. In the resentment phase, I felt down. And it would ebb and flow. I'd be okay sometimes, and then this plummeting, crappy, feeling awful, and then back to anger, back to depression, So somewhere in there is also depression, because you just start to lose the plot. Why can't this work? Why isn't anything I'm doing working? How come we can't get along? How come we keep having these battles and the boundaries being broken and the meltdowns and the shutdowns, and I'm feeling isolated and attacked, and then they're feeling attacked, and the whole thing's like World War 50, So, soon, somewhere, comes acceptance. Maybe not for everybody. Maybe some will struggle with acceptance till death do they part, or divorce do they part, or something. But acceptance. For me, it looked like this. I stopped bringing up the past. So he'd give me a compliment, and instead of thinking, well, I'm not as pretty as that lady, so why compliment me, you know, I would say, thank you, thought, see you later. Don't think about that. And more to the point, even if you thought it, don't say it. Don't say it out loud and wreck this mood. Husband's giving you a breadcrumb. Don't rain on that breadcrumb. With that pessimistic time that he gave you no breadcrumbs, you know. So I would just try to not say it out loud, which was part of the resentment, anger thing. Well, you did this to me and I'm really cross. And you did that to me and I'm really cross. And just spending my time in that phase. Unhealthy. So, not boo-hissing the breadcrumbs. Not bringing up all of the things that had happened. Not bringing up all of the unresolved issues that were never going to get resolved no matter how many ways I raised them. Just don't even mention it. And so that was sort of how it started to look for me. And with that came a sort of calm within us somehow. I stopped expecting lots of breadcrumbs from him and just started accepting that I'm going to get a breadcrumb here and a breadcrumb there. He's not going to meet my needs, but he's meeting some. And I was meeting a whack ton of his needs, and now I'm only just going to meet a few, because if he's meeting, I don't know, let's pick a number. He's meeting 10 of my needs, I'm meeting 10 of his. Now, obviously I'm not exactly counting, but I can tell if I'm meeting way more of his needs than he's meeting mine, and I don't do that anymore because it's too exhausting for me. And now that I've accepted that he cannot meet my needs, and I understand that, there is essentially not a lot of purpose or reason for me to meet a lot of his, even if he wishes I would. Bad luck, Donald Duck. The facts of the matter are, you can only meet so much of my needs, and so technically I only need to do so much. Like, if relationship's about reciprocation and he's putting in 3%, arbitrary number, he could be putting in 45, right? And I'm only going to put in 3% or 45. If he's putting in 3%, I'm not putting in 20. You know, maybe I put in 10, but I'm not putting in 20. I'm going to match him, whether he likes that or not, because that's fair. And that way there, I'm not beating myself up over trying to be something that is perfection to him while I'm not getting perfection in return. So I just push that aside and just meet the needs of his that I think are really important and leave the other ones. So there's that kind of acceptance. And what that has done for me is calm my mind. I just feel less hostile. I feel less expecting. I feel less frustrated. I just feel less of all of the other things, less confusion. Still feel isolated. That's something I'm working on. That's kind of outside of him. I mean, it happens because of the relationships. You just tend to avoid people and situations because it's difficult. And then you realise that you've just kind of pushed all the things that used to bring you joy aside, and so you try to find them again. So I'm kind of there. So there's still the isolation, there's still the depression, there's still the moments where I'll have a drink or three and feel really cryy and sucky and you know, grieve the loss of the marriage and relationship and life I thought I was going to have. And then it flows back into acceptance, and, you know, every now and then, I won't lie, there's the odd flash of anger, especially if he's breaking a boundary. And it's a boundary that, you know, we've talked about for a lot, and he's broken so many boundaries over the years that he'll break a boundary and I'll just kind of go and then he's like, ooh. So, you know, there's still moments, ebbs and flows, but to me that's kind of the sort of series of stages in this relationship. Over to you. What do you think? Have I missed a stage? Do you think there's extra stages? Do you think I'm correct about these stages? And how is it working for you? All over the place? Sitting in the anger for the most part? Sitting in depression for the most part? Still confused? Drop a comment below. Love to hear from you. And thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I really do appreciate it.